No intro since I don't want to waste your time, straight onto the guides. The big, overarching fundamental of the new tank Doomfist, summed into 3 words, is surgical angled engages. Look to engage with your new, reworked Seismic Slam or Rocket Punch from different angles in order to make your engage less telegraphed, looking to either hard engage and go in deep with the rest of your cooldowns, including power block and getting that supercharge off, or doing a soft engage using your other mobility cooldown to escape. Skip to the combo section where I explain Doom's 2 main combos as simply as possible. Now onto the weapons and abilities. Doom's hand cannon, the shotgun sniper, makes Doomfist fire shotgun pellets from his hand that now deal reduced damage from 6 to 5 pellets in Overwatch 2, and the ammo regeneration rate has increased from 0.65 seconds, meaning that you almost get your ammo back twice as quick. Thankfully, nothing really massive has changed about Doom's hand cannon. The biggest change is that this will become your main primary source of damage rather than your abilities, so a key piece of advice, especially in combos, is to have good trigger discipline. This just means you take an extra half a second to readjust your crosshair so your shots actually hit your enemy rather than your shots being dumped into thin air. You'll also want to interweave your shots between your abilities, in which you'll most likely be doing this after your Seismic Slam, before your Rocket Punch, and before your Power Block. Doom's first ability, the Brandy special, makes Doomfist perform a slam that now deals a flat 50 damage, slowing enemies by 30%, and can also launch the player straight into the air. It no longer pulls enemies in, targeted and ground slams are no longer a thing, and Seismic Slam can also be cancelled. Let's begin with the tech before moving on to broader usage. Doomfist specialist GetQuakedOn has already released a plethora of Doomfist videos explaining some tech, but I'll try and condense it down in the acronym BITS with a silent H. The B stands for B-hop slams. This is just jumping after you slam, so you gain some extra distance, as GetQuakedOn shows and explains here.
Slam B-hops, really easy to do. You just have to stand on the ground, activate your slam, and anytime in the middle of the air, just hold your slam button. See, you'll get a bunny hop. You can see I go much further. So that is one use.
The I stands for improved slams. They are also known as super slams, but I changed it to fit with the acronym. This is simply rocket punching, cancelling it with spacebar, then seismic slamming afterwards to carry your momentum forwards. This is quite niche and is only really useful for surprising squishies who are isolated or for quick rollouts from spawn. Here's Samito giving an example of the former.
I punch and slam immediately after. Boom! And it gives you a very high speed boost to cross distances quickly, allowing you to assassinate targets very fast if they're by themselves.
The H stands for head slams. This is using Seismic Slam when you're in an enclosed space, which makes you hug the ground, landing the slam earlier. Here's GetQuakedOn showing an example of this, also combining B-hop slams and a turn slam, which I haven't gotten to yet.
You see that? That's why it can be really useful. So what we did was we did a rocket punch cancel, which is that, and then we hit our slam button at the right time after we canceled our punch, and what we get there is super slam, and now we hit our head on this roof, and that gives us that crouch slam effect. So then I start hugging the floor, which you saw how my character was going down the stairs, and then I pressed my jump button, which is the B-hop slam, and this allows me to not slam here.
The T, as you've probably already guessed, stands for turn slams. This is really easy to do. Just use your WASD keys and mouse movement to change the direction of your seismic slam midair, and this can be quite useful when combined with the next type of slam. The first S stands for stair slams. This is slamming on a slanted surface, making you hug the ground instead of leaping in the air. The reason why stair slams are useful is that in conjunction with turn slams and B-hop slams, they allow you to make engages that surprise the enemy team, as GetQuakedOn shows here.
You might come across an issue where this happens. You see how my character lands on top of that edge and I just fall down and I don't get to hit anybody down there with my slam? What you could do with this bunny hop slam trick, combining it with the stair slam, is, you see, I'm gonna press my jump button. See, I jump over that edge and I don't slam.
The final S stands for stationary slams. This is where you manage to slam, but instead of moving forward, you stand still. Again, similar to turn slams where you use your WASD keys. In order to do the stationary slam, all you need to do is hold S on your keyboard while slamming. This will be most useful when you're hard engaging on Doomfist, with your Meteor strike for example, and you want to follow up with a Seismic Slam without flying past your targets. Now onto the bigger fundamentals with Seismic Slam. if the enemy team has low CC and you're targeting multiple enemies, engaging with the slam will be the most optimal. Conversely, if you're going against a team with higher amounts of CC and you're targeting a singular enemy, engaging with your punch, either from high ground, from an angle, or from both, that will likely be your safest approach. For example, here, GetQuakedOn engages with his punch because he's targeting the Sojourn, eventually using a slam to escape. Conversely, GetQuakedOn does the opposite here, slamming onto multiple enemies before quickly punching out. Note that in both examples, he engages from different angles to make his engage less telegraphed. I recommend checking out the combo section in this video. Essentially, the two combos that GetQuakedOn just did were the second combo against high CC comps. For the penultimate tip, if you are punch engaging, look to slam back to high ground to engage from a different angle rather than disengaging away to main, as Spilo explains here. This is an Overwatch 1 clip, but the logic still firmly applies.
A lot of the times, especially against a not very mobile composition, you do not want to be going back to your team, because not only is it more dangerous, as we see here, you're also losing a significant amount of pressure. Like, look at this, chat. What would be the best thing to do in this circumstance? Slam out here, go grab health back, rinse and repeat. The point being is that you know they do not have mobility. They cannot chase you down. They cannot punish you. So you need to continue to stay on the angle. The problem here is if you punch and you slam back to your team, even if you get out alive, what do you do now? You have literally one option. You have to flank through hotel and hope that nobody sees you. So you were set up well against a composition that couldn't push you. You engage, you scuff up your engage, and then instead of setting up again, you completely bail and die.
Lastly, let's talk about slam cancels. Cancelling your slam is quite a niche thing to do, but I see three main uses. The first is to assassinate aerial targets, as I'm sure you've already seen with people like Samito and GetQuakedOn managing to kill pharmacies seemingly out of nowhere. Obviously, to do this, just aim your slam vertically, cancel it when you're right next to that Pharah, then fire your hand cannon, finishing off with a punch if need be. The second use is if you think engaging is a bad idea, using your punch to get out. This can be due to poor positioning with your slam, maybe you time your engagement poorly so you think you're gonna feed, or whatever. And lastly, the third use is just for some map rollout stuff, and in the wise words of Spilo, you can cancel your slam high up in the air to then punch across certain geometry. Doom's second ability, One Punch Man, makes Doomfist charge up his rocket punch, which now deals significantly less damage, no longer making him One Punch Man. Simply put, the maximum damage he can do has gone down from 250 to 70 damage, his charge time got buffed from 1.4 seconds to 1 second, you can hit multiple enemies with your punch, and the cooldown is now 3 seconds from 4 seconds. Thankfully, most of the tech surrounding Doom's punch has been retained, aside from the new ability to multi-punch, which I'll get onto later. For those new to Doomfist, you can conserve the momentum of your punch by jumping at any time, which you'll be using for mobility to get around the map. For some more advanced, but still relatively simple tech, the three main punches you need to know are turn punches, bounce punches, and diagonal punches. Here's myself, from my old Doomfist guide, going over all three, with a CarQ clip interweaved as well. Moving on to the three main different types of punches. The first is the turn punch. This is turning your camera in the direction you want to move in during your punch animation. The use for this is to engage at an unexpected angle so you take less damage on engagement, and as a result, you're more likely to dodge CC abilities such as McCree's Flash or Arna's Sleep. The second type of punch is a bounce punch. This is used to gain high ground without having to use your uppercut, or to set yourself up at a good angle for a slam uppercut combo. The last type of punch is the diagonal punch. Here's CarQ explaining what it is and two ways in which it can be utilized.
Doomfist tech known as a diagonal punch, with a mixture of what we call kill spots, where the punch connects on an enemy against a wall, or a setup spot where you'd initiate with the punch to get some height before following up with a seismic or uppercut.
If you want to know more about combos with Doomfist, do skip to that section. Doom's third ability, B-Tech Kinetic Grasp, is a brand new ability for Doomfist that reduces his damage from the front by 90%. If 100 damage is blocked, your next rocket punch is empowered. This increases your punch's damage and speed by 50%, meaning you now deal a maximum of 105 damage on punch. Your multi-punch hitbox is also increased, and if you hit a target into a wall, they are now stunned from 0.5 to 1 second. Note that damage, such as Diva's Bomb, Sojourn's Disruptor Shot, and Hanzo's Dragon Strike and more, still count to that 100 damage target, and Power Block does not block CC, meaning you can still get stunned by a Reese's New Javelin or Arna's Sleep Dart. The biggest qualm with Power Block is whether to use it proactively, meaning you use it first to try and get that super punch, or whether to use it defensively, meaning that you use it when you're getting pressured on your engagement, and my answer to that which is pretty boring, is that it depends, which leads me very nicely onto the combo section of this video. Actually, just before I go into the combos, GetQuakedOn just released some new tech with Doomfist's power block and how to charge it faster, so I'll play that clip here.
But if you were to look down, you can actually expose your head, and exposing your character's head means you will be exposed to more damage, and being exposed to more damage means you can build your block even faster.
Now to the combos, of which I've devised two main ones centered around CC, thanks to the help of Spilo. The first one is low CC, which will be against most compositions. The general flow of this combo is to engage, then block, then engage or disengage, and if you choose engage, you'll then obviously disengage. Engage can either mean your seismic slam or your punch. Secondly, block obviously means your power block. Thirdly, engage means that you use your punch again, which should hopefully be supercharged, using your seismic slam to disengage. Fourthly, the reason why I say that you can swap engage and power block, i.e. using power block first instead of second, is, as Spilo says, it's pretty easy to charge it at a choke with some early poke. Here's a clip of Super TF where he power blocks first, then engages with slam, then continues to engage with his supercharged punch, landing a free kill and slotting that combo in the first section. As the last note, Meteor Strike can reset your cooldowns, meaning that you reset your combo. The second combo is against comps with more CC, like Orisa, Ana, Sombra. If the Orisa has an absolute hate boner for you in particular, or if their Ana is actually smart and saves sleep dart when you power block, getting away with the first combo becomes a lot more difficult. As a result, you basically just disengage almost immediately after you engage, looking to maybe power block at the end if you think you can get 100 damage to supercharge your punch, so your next engage is more lethal. For some visual examples of this, refer back to the two GetQuakedOn clips I used in the Seismic Slam section, where he either uses punch or his slam to engage and the other ability to disengage. Before I end off, I have seen some dodgy advice about trying to dodge CC when you power block, but in reality, this isn't gonna happen. You're just not going to consistently dodge Orisa's javelin or Ana's sleep dart when you're power blocking in the middle of nowhere. Doom's ultimate, the Terry Crew special, makes Doomfist fly up in the air and crash into the ground, dealing 300 damage in his inner ring, 100 to 15 damage in his outer ring with a half-second cast time, and a 50% slow on enemies hit for 2 seconds. Meteor Strike is ultimately unchanged from how it was in Overwatch 1. Use it to escape danger, or cycle cooldowns to be more aggressive. Speaking of cycling cooldowns, a neat little tip with Meteor Strike is that you can now utilize the slow from your Seismic Slam to more easily land the damage and slow from your Meteor Strike. Here's Samito giving a visual example of that, also using that first combo of low CC as mentioned prior.
So I punch them back just to buy time and back off to my supports. And while I back off to my supports, I then use my power block. So I power block, get it charged. I'm almost at my ultimate. I knock them all into the wall to get my ult. Slam in first to slow them yet again, so they're going to be slowed down, and then use my ult on the slow targets to land on the Mei and the Lucio and kill them.
Lastly, onto Doom's playstyle, timing, and compositions. Doom is a tank with extremely high mobility, but with moderately low sustain and very low range. This slots him into the archetype of a dive tank with broady aspects, meaning that ideally, you'll be playing with teammates who also have high mobility and moderate sustain, such as Lucio, Moira, Tracer, Sombra, and Reaper, also known as Talon Dive or Korean Brawl in Overwatch 1. However, in solo queue environments, you'd be lucky to find anything resembling Talon Dive. As a result, you want to look for well-timed engages when your team is actually able to follow up on them, as Spilo gives an example of here.
Nice. I don't know that I would have committed my punch to here, but again, committing from the angle, and when are you doing it? Chat, when is he doing it? You see the timing here? Like, we're gonna give credit when credit is due. It's not perfect, but it's there. Look at this. Brilliant. Concave push on an angle. You take no damage on entry because you push quickly and off split from main, and you engage it on a right when your tanks are going in.
Again, when I say follow up, I don't necessarily mean that they have to be hard diving with you. For example, it could be an Ashe or a Hanzo taking an aggressive angle when you go in. Lastly, before I end off, I did talk about wanting to take off angles and flanks for less telegraphed engages, but playing against comps with high mobility such as Tracer Sombra Diva is one of the biggest challenges with Doomfist, especially in Overwatch 2 considering Sombra's rework. So here's Spilo detailing how you can adapt around this, with a brief note from myself at the beginning of the clip.
If I'm Doomfist and I punch out of a choke often to a flank, well then now that Tracer can just immediately say, oh, hi Doomfist, I'm gonna go duel you. And you don't have punch. And we already talked about how Doomfist isn't very good one-on-one against those heroes with or without his cooldowns. So like as Doomfist, what do you do about that? Number one, taking less greedy flanks. Like you can't hard flank, like go all the way behind the enemy team if they're playing like Tracer Sombra. That's not likely to work very well. So a lot of time you kind of have to time your splits really well, and you have to try and avoid running into the Tracer echo. Like play in angles and short angles that aren't completely isolated. So in other words, like taking a little bit off, right? And then engage from here, or a little bit off from here, or maybe go high ground, right? Because Tracer doesn't have as good high ground mobility as you.
Well, that's the guide. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if this video helped to raise your IQ, do be sure to share it with your friends to also raise theirs. Until next time.